Anthony Albanese has welcomed the news Israel and Hamas have agreed on a ceasefire and hostage deal in Gaza. The first phase of the agreement takes effect on Sunday. 33 hostages will be released and fighting will pause for at least 6 weeks while negotiations for a more permanent truce continue.
Australians, I believe, wanted to see the hostages released. They want to see an end to conflict. This is a really important breakthrough and step forward.
This is such big news, but it's really hard to tell how much hope we can have, isn't it?
Yeah, because ceasefires are always tenuous, they're always complicated. This one is no exception. The first thing I thought of was, you may not have even remembered this, but one of the times there were headlines about a ceasefire perhaps being brokered, and we got footage of people in Gaza celebrating, only for them to discover that a deal hadn't been reached and actually those reports were all premature. And I remember at that moment thinking the level of desperation that is building up. And there is desperation in Israel as well, particularly people whose family members were hostages. But to see that happen and to see that broken, that's why this is such a big moment, and you can appreciate that. But then you look at the detail and it's like, okay, so there's a temporary pause in the fighting. Level 2, so it's 3 stages. That's one, and there's some hostages being given back. Then level 2, it starts to get vague, but it basically means you're looking at an end, like a peace deal, an end to the conflict. And I'm thinking, well, this hasn't been possible for decades, depending on how far back you want to start that timer. So there's that. And then level 3, the third phase, is the reconstruction of Gaza. Now, most of Gaza is rubble.
It's extraordinary, Tony.
So
yeah,
there's an increased delivery of aid, which is great in the meantime. But then who does that exactly? And already I'm starting to read analysis that's a bit, I don't want to say concerning, because this is a hopeful day. I don't want to diminish that. But on the Israeli side, you've got a very fragile coalition government, and there's all this talk about that government perhaps falling apart because of some people on the hard right of that government who don't want this deal. On the Palestinian side, you've got questions from Hamas and the Palestinian Authority about who will administer the aid, who's the committee that does it, and Fatah already saying things like, we're worried that this will be a way for Hamas to keep political control. Once you start hearing that stuff already, you get a sense of the fragility of it. But the only thing I can hope is it is so devastating what has happened that
it's unimaginable.
You can't go back.
But we can't take away that hope. You see the vision. You can't take it away. And I think that when I first saw that vision, I had this growing sense of embarrassment of what it was to be a human, because you're just seeing that kind of joy, and it's been robbed of people for so long.
It's crazy. And the hope is utterly essential.
Yes, it is. It is.